Back with us today after their live-action short film Night of Fortune was nominated for an Academy Award. Writer-director Lasse Noer and producer Christian Norlyk are now an Oscar-nominated director and producer. And they co-founded the production company Jalabert Production in order to have more control in the making of their films and the control they have. Also with us today is six-time Oscar-nominated and two-time Oscar winner in the live-action short category, Kim Magnusson, also producer of Night of Fortune. And this Oscar-nominated short is about the loss of a loved one, the grief and a coffin that is too much for the main character, Karl, to face. And then Karl meets a gentleman, Torben. And this humorous and melodic meeting between two old men captured by grief shows the importance of being there for someone else. So ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Oscar-nominated director Lasse Noer and Oscar-nominated producers Christian Norlyk and Kim Magnusson and their Oscar-nominated short film, Night of Fortune, back to the show. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Glad to be here again. Yeah.
What an introduction.
Yeah.
Well, you really gotta bring it forward. Have to bring the tie because we got to roll out the red carpet because forever you'll be known as Oscar, at least for this moment, Oscar-nominated director and producers, which is a very high honor. How does that make you feel now?
It's quite incredible and still hard to understand. I gotta say, it's something that you just have to. It grows on you every day, and
well,
hopefully. They'll have to pinch my arm, but hopefully one day I'll get it.
Well, I saw the video that you all posted online when your whole team watched the Oscar nominations being announced. Walk me through that life-changing day.
It was such a relief and such a real celebration, a real emotion. We weren't expecting it at all, so. We were up against some big giants and big studios, big directors. So it was just amazing. As you can see in the film, it was very real reaction.
I want to say all credit to Kim because both me and Lasse, we didn't really want to have that event because we just thought, given it all, the chances were so slim, and to be there with so many people and you don't get on the list, which was a very real possibility. So we really didn't want it. And then Kim called me and said, insisted that if you're on that list, you'll regret forever if you don't have a moment with the crew, with the people supporting the film and everyone together. And in the end, he was totally right.
Yeah, I was actually considering just to both of us going in a summer house, just isolate somewhere.
I agree with Kim. With Kim. Everybody needs to be there because it could, for many people, it's just that once in a lifetime moment. And Kim, first of all, how did you meet, let's say, and Christian and to collaborate on Night of Fortune?
It actually goes back, I think, almost 4 years. I can't even remember when it started. It was pre-COVID, and we had this kind of a funding scheme in Denmark where I was head of a jury that was selecting 4 shorts that was gonna be, getting a grant to produce. And basically, the first thing I ever read from these guys, because I didn't know them at the time, it was all like a blind read. It was a 3 or 5 sentence or line, description of it. And I said to the people of the funding bodies, I said, this can go all the way out of those 5 lines. And then we began to go from there, and we supported it, and we began to develop it. And soon, I think our relationship, more from just being a kind of a jury member, became much more personal between Lasse and Christian and I. And therefore, very early on, we began to say, why don't we do this as a co-production, full-blown co-production? And of course, it's Jalabert and it's Christian and Lasse who are the nominees, as you also said. And there was no doubts about those were the two because of the rules at the Academy that you can only have 2 designated nominees in this category, which is a rule we need to change. So there was no doubts that, of course, the two of them were the one to go forward if it came to this. And thank God did go all the way. And they shot during COVID, and I couldn't be on set there because we had to limit the people on set. And but otherwise, it was a very collaborative film to do together. From script to editing to post distribution and all these things.
Well, for you, Kim, what was it about Night of Fortune that interested you the most?
I think that, as you just said very, very nicely in the introduction of the film, thank you, yes, for that. Been nominated many times before and also won a couple of those statues. So I think I think it's my taste. And sometimes people say, "How can you keep on doing this?" And I'm saying, I don't know. Maybe I just have the taste of the broader academy. I don't know, but it's a taste and a feeling that I felt like this film is so sharp, and it's all in a small period of time. It really does fulfill the whole story about grief and sorrow and come together and warmth and friendship that develops out of something, which and it's still rounded. And when we leave those characters, I feel at least I'm fulfilled. I don't need to see what's going on in the next hour of their lives, or in a full feature length of this. I really do feel that the story has been told very nicely, and I think that's what the short film category can do, and the short films per se is really all about. And of course, it's all about raising new talents and getting on with that. So I'm just happy that we're here together.
You have been nominated 6 times, and like you just said, you have won an Oscar twice. So what kind of advice have you given to both of these gentlemen prior to attending the Academy Awards on March 10th?
I have to say, we almost haven't gotten around to talk about that yet, because now we're going to be in New York the next couple of days, and then in Los Angeles after that for the very, informal, but I think one of the greatest event of the whole Oscar thing is the Oscar luncheon on Monday, which is a very informal thing where you actually everybody is nominated together. Everybody is on the same level. There's no differences between the biggest stars and the smallest filmmakers. Everybody's sitting there together on the tables, and it's really, really a nice venue. And that's I always say to people, if you can only attend one thing at the during the Oscars things, of course, if you're not nominated, but if you have a crew or a friend or somebody that can come with you to be at the luncheon, I think it's the most spectacular thing of the whole Oscar, because it really is about being there for filmmakers who are all nominated together. And it's not about campaigning. It's not, yeah, of course it's campaigning because everybody is running around trying to get votes from each other. But it's not about, who has that dress on and things like that. It's not like all the big stars on the front rows and then the rest of us in the back and all these things. So people are really standing there together. And so we haven't really talked so much about the Oscars. I've told them a little about it, and I will tell them much more when we have some time together in New York and Los Angeles now, so they can begin to prepare for the whole thing coming March 10th.
Well, it's already got me excited. And Lasse and Christian, for those who may have not seen our first interview, tell everyone what Night of Fortune is about. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Night of Fortune is about. Yeah, you just fell out, but I heard your question. Night of Fortune is about Karl that comes to the morgue to see his deceased wife for the first time, and he can't really cope with that. So he's in this denial state, and he can't really open the coffin to see her. So he sort of disturbs himself by doing other things. For example, fixing a lamp that he ends up breaking, and then he flees to the toilet where he meets Torben, the other main character in the film. And these two go on a journey together. It's on an outer journey and an inner journey, and they form a sort of a friendship, and that becomes sort of the heart in the story. I'm not going to reveal so much more, but yeah.
Yeah, well, many people can watch our first interview, which reveals a little bit more, but without giving it away. But definitely the essence is there. I spent time rewatched the film again for this interview, and one of the things I learned was we all need to extend a loving hand to those who may be going through the loss of a loved one alone, and to be there to share in their grief. Uh, from both of you, or maybe all three of you, what are some of the stories the audiences uh, have told you once they've seen your film?
Yeah, I think maybe I told you the last time, but we were at the Clermont-Ferrand at the film festival, and this young guy, he comes up to me, and he said he hadn't tried crying and laughing so much at the same time. That was so new to him, and now he was gonna call his grandmother, because he had just lost his grandfather, and she had lost his husband, or her husband. So and ask her if she was okay. And that is sort of the point in the film, like you said, reach out and be there for each other, in loss and in the pain. So that was quite incredible to me, and that was just one of the things we experienced along the way. Yeah.
Yeah, we've like in general, I would say the reception watching this, because that was something that we were a bit, let's say, excited about, and maybe a bit nervous as well. It's like the Danish humor in this, the dark comedy that we love, and we were kind of not afraid, but kind of just curious as to what that would look like in France or in the US or like Eastern Europe, or like. So I think when we then went and we saw and we heard, because the reactions in the theater, they don't think about that the filmmakers are there. They will just react to whatever they see, and with Night of Fortune, it's just been like we always say, like when we have Q&As and stuff, and we're kind of nervous before that. It's always the best if we can watch our film in that with the audience before the Q&A, because like it kind of gives us confidence, because people respond to it, and they respond to it by tearing up or being sentimental, but they also react by laughing, which is like kind of the underlying theme, is like the feelings you feel in grief can go from laughter to like profound sadness, and that's okay. Like there's no right or wrong here. And I think that's been really affirming, that the dream of the film when we started years ago is kind of coming to fruition just by the way the audience reacts.
Well, what is one of the most common questions you get from the Q&A?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I think where does the story come from?
Yeah, that's right.
That's probably one of the main questions.
Yeah.
And like I said to you the first time we had an interview, I went through loss, and at the point when I wrote it, and I was at the morgue sometimes, and it's not a very pleasant place, to say the least. And I was fortunate, and we were fortunate that we had friends, we had family to sort of take care and be there for each other in the grief. But I was thinking, what if you didn't have that? What if you had to go through this all by yourself, like so many people do, especially when you get elder? And also, it was inspired by my grandfather. One of the people I lost were my grandmother. So I got to spend some time with my grandfather, and he's sort of this trying to remain strong guy, right? He's not gonna ask for help, and he's also a practitioner. He prefers to do things, or help others, but he's not gonna open up about how he's feeling. And he's gotten better with time, and that has helped him through his grief. Talking about my grandmother, because it sort of keeps her memory alive, right? So, and that's something he has learned through the grief, and also a great inspiration for this film, of course.
You know, you touched on every emotional element in this film, especially when you having Karl going through the passing of his wife alone. And he's struggling with his grief. he's trying to find something to either avoid the grief or take his mind off the grief, which is why he stares at that flickering broken light in the very opening scene. And I'm sure that people who do go through grief alone are looking for something to cling to. And for Karl, he was just focusing on that light. That was just something he felt that he could actually control.
Exactly. I think you're gonna try to seek for this sort of control that because it's chaos when you lose, right? So when you're gonna try to sort of get some control in your life, and for Karl, it's the lamp, because he knows he can fix this lamp, and he ends up, of course, destroying it. But yeah. So that's.
But that's also that's what I love about that scene. It's also like that's kind of the thing. It's like so you can fix the lamp, but Karl ended up breaking the lamp. It's like also telling him, no, you should be focusing on like coming to terms with the grief, like open the coffin, saying your goodbyes, doing that instead of fixing the lamp. It kind of has a consequence for him that he tries to fix the little things instead of focusing on the major thing, right? So I also like the subtle little thing there.
Well, the other thing, and I said this in our last interview, I thought one of the perfect setup of the scene and the cinematography was so great, to where here's Karl he's reaching up, he's trying to fix this lamp because it's his way of trying to escape grief for the moment. But the way that you positioned the coffin in the scene, covering end to end of the frame and basically blocking Karl, where there's no way to escape the grief. You will have to turn around and face it. And, and I've seen that frame shot all over Instagram, and it is a very poignant, silent moment that hopefully the audience understood what that meant.
I think we're like that's all a credit to another Lasse, his namesake, our DOP, which we have known and worked with him for many years. And I think him and Lasse, the way they like, he is a guy that wants to just spend a few days with Lasse, just talking about not necessarily the technicalities of where to put the camera and why, but more like, so why is Lasse telling the story, and what are we trying to achieve? And then after that, setting up frame by frame, like, okay, so we're going to use that. For instance, another example is we have a jib arm that we use, and we don't use it a lot. And that's always like to a producer is like, okay, if we're gonna spend that much money on a jib arm, like let's use it a lot, right? But I think that's where he comes in. Is like we're gonna use it there and there because like that will story wise make sense and make the most impact. And that's like I think he's fantastic to work with and watch the way he works on set.
Yeah, I also like the way that you framed your shots with Karl and Torben. You framed them close, I guess signifying the fact that they have to face the grief. But I also like the way that with Karl and Torben, their grief was a bit mirrored, but the result was really not identical to one another. The grief a bit was, and I don't want to give it away for those that have not seen this film, because Torben plays a very, very vital part in this whole story. And so I don't want to give that away, but I love the way that you wrote it. You filmed this with brilliance, is what you did. And I have to ask, what were Leif and Jen's reactions to being in an Oscar-nominated short film?
They were happy about it. Yeah, especially Leif. Yeah,
he's a funny guy.
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
And he lives in Sweden, so we don't see him that often actually, and he's not very much on social medias, but he did post
Yeah.
one or two things, and I think he was it Bob Dylan? He was saying that there was a guy that got him into acting or something like
Yeah.
that. So he was so grateful for him, and now he had been nominated for an Oscar. It was so big for him, but he's a funny guy for sure.
He wrote Lasse like when we got the nomination. He wrote Lasse like a very simple message. He wrote, "Ha ha ha, we're gonna win."
Yeah,
that's it.
That was with the shortlist, actually. It was shortlist, so he was really believing that we were gonna make it, and he ended up being right. And of course,
Night of Fortune is definitely, in my mind, a very strong front runner for an Oscar because it has all the elements to win. So, for all three of you gentlemen, are you nervous yet?
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Very nervous. Everything is so new.
We haven't had time. We're very proud to be nominated. Like that's we already feel like we won.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like we're not gonna be sad on the 10th if we don't get it. Like if we see Wes Anderson up on that stage, it's like we're gonna be fine. Yeah. But
yeah, for sure.
Nah, Wes isn't gonna be up there.
You don't think?
Hopefully not. But also, I'm just saying, coming back.
Yeah, go ahead.
Coming back to the lunch, and I mean that's what it's all about. You know, that's one of the first thing when Janet Jang is gonna hold her speech and welcome everybody sitting there. She's gonna say, "You're all winners in this room today because this is all about celebrating filmmakers and the life of films, and everybody should see themselves as winners." And then, of course, sadly, on the day of March 10th, only one film or one person will be named in each category, but everybody should feel like winners. And I'm you know, and that's what I've at least have been saying to the guys from the beginning. If we come this far, then we have won. And now the next thing, we have to relax, enjoy, and of course, hopefully, we hope your words will be there so we can go on that stage and receive these great golden statues.
Well, Kim, let me ask you, if Night of Fortune wins the Oscar for Best Live Action Short, what will that mean for, let's say, in Christian's film career?
It will mean a lot because that's, you know, I think that's some of the things we have to discuss. And of course, that's also something they're going through already because, of course, people have reached out, agents, managers, and all that. So I'm at least giving my support to kind of navigate that. But of course, if we were so great, fortunate enough to win, then of course everybody will want to work with us or them or Lasse, of course, especially being the writer director. There's more focus on the creative part than the producer part, but still, as you heard and as you said yourself from the beginning, they co-founded Jalabert. They are friends from high school, so I also hope and believe that their journeys will continue, as I did with my last win. The director and we went on to do a big American movie after that. So I think that's some of the things that could be in the works. But of course, just having their feet stand grounded in back home in Jutland, where they're from, which is another part of Denmark, where they're little like, take it easy. We're not, but we're trying, pushing that envelope a little. So they also have to be more out there and say, okay, this is great. This is big. They're nominated to an Oscar. Not very many people in the world have ever done that. And very few are going to have and receive an Oscar. So if we come that far, of course, we have to celebrate. And then we have to, Lasse, and let's say this. I mean, at least here in this interview, everything, the doors are open for them in Tinseltown to do whatever they want to do.
I agree. And for you, Lasse and Christian, are you hometown heroes right now?
Yeah, you can say that. It's been quite special.
It's a very small, like, the area we're from is where, like, the biggest thing is where Lego was founded, right? So that's where the city Lasse was born, but the kind of the area, we live 10 kilometers away from each other. So it's a small place, but we can definitely feel like it's different. Like, because we get messages from like preschool friends that we haven't talked to for 20 years. are writing us now saying congratulations, we're proud of you, and it's like, so, and we've never tried that, and it's not like I feel like we've had a career without any ups, because we've had many ups, but nothing comes close to what we're experiencing now. No.
Well, is Night of Fortune still available on the New Yorker website for the public to see it, or
Yes.
it is, Kim?
Yes, 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 is available. And it will be touring starting February 16. It will be touring the world with Shorts TV release of all the 15 nominated short film in the 3 different categories: live action, animation, and documentaries on this world tour theatrical, which is a great, great way to capture for audience to come to your local cinema and capture those films, because it's really gems that are out there. So I would say to everybody who has a local theater where they're gonna run it, go there and go and see the films. It's much better on the big screen, but otherwise, the New Yorkers screening side is available on.
Yeah, I also understand that all of the films are going to be shown in about 700 theaters especially for all of the voting members and even the public to go finally see these films that everybody's been talking about.
Yeah, that was the one I just mentioned. It's starting February 16, I believe. That they will be starting, all over the world. I think starting in America, and then they will touring. So basically, it has come out most part of the world before the Academy Award happens. So basically, this month, 4 weeks leading up to the Academy Awards, it will be around in the world.
Well, let me ask, for all three of you, what are your plans after the Oscars, or will that depend if your names are announced as the winner?
Yeah, I think that depends.
I think we will still stay for a few days. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
plan. Have, like Kim said, these meetings that we're gonna have to see where, like, what the next steps will be. We've kind of taken a step backwards. So we had a plan before all of this, and that's just been thrown in the trash. And now we just kind of go with the flow with all these new opportunities that are coming our way.
Well,
So we'll stay for maybe a week or so. Yeah, more.
Well, I am very excited for all three of you. It's well deserved. Like I said, the film has all the elements. Ladies and gentlemen, the Oscar shortlisted live action, I should say the Oscar nominated live action short film, Night of Fortune. Again, as Kim just said, it is available to see right now on the New Yorker's website. And much praise to the New Yorker for being a great supporter of short films. And it's a great place to see those. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the film, Night of Fortune. It's wonderful. It's brilliant. It's excellent from start to finish, from the acting to the writing, the cinematography, and it absolutely deserves its Oscar nomination. And it's a wonderful film. And if you are one dealing with loss and the feelings of grief, this film could provide a bit of understanding, a bit of comfort, and even a bit of laughter. And again, Night of Fortune is a very strong front runner to win the Best Live Action Short category at this year's Oscars. So Academy members, when you're watching and listening, please watch this film. Vote with your heart when you watch all of the films. But I can say this, as I said, and I'll say it over and over again, this film is a front runner in that category. And I think the independents this year truly have the edge when it comes to quality on all fronts in their films above the big, massive studios. So, gentlemen, I know you're getting those tuxes ready and get that bow tie on, because I know that it's going to be not only a wonderful luncheon, it's going to be a wonderful night on March 10th.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're looking forward.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And I will say this, if your names are called on March 10th, you got to come back and you got to show me that Oscar.
We're going to give you a call.
Yeah,
we will.
Sure. That's a deal.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, go to the New Yorker website, watch Night of Fortune, when you watch this film, you're going to feel the exact same way I do. It is definitely Oscar worthy. It is an Oscar frontrunner. And again, ladies and gentlemen, you can catch all of the replays of our interviews with the top film directors, producers, and screenwriters, as well as actors, and more, not only on our YouTube channel, but our brand new website, bondoncinema.com. We are also available on a dozen audio platforms as well. So I want to thank you for watching and listening. And as for me, I hope to see you not only at the movies, but also from the red carpet.